What's up, everyone? I'm Alex at Bodega NYC.
What's good, everybody? Lou Colon here, 321 4th Avenue, Bodega NYC. You already know. We're at the sit down with family. And we got our good brother here, Tony, from Panama. He's here. He's a man of many hats.
Yes.
Rocking a very important hat, too.
What's going on, everybody? It's Tony Vidal here. I am repping Peddlers NYC, Off the Strength, and many more. Of course, obviously, Bodega over here, the family.
Tell us a little bit about the family, because I've known this man since he was about 5, 6 years old. Up in the house with my brother Jay. They grew up together.
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York City, where I was blessed to come across many different type of cultures, I would say. But honestly, my New York Latin heritage came from this family right here. I was on the background of too many parties that Lou was throwing, way too early, trying to sneak the Jello shots, all the rest of that. Like he mentioned, my brother, his brother, Jason Cologne, actually took a picture of me on the backdrop very similar to this. We've been trying to do our version of the New York Renaissance as long as possible.
First, tell us a little bit about Peddlers.
Yeah, so Peddlers Worldwide is a creative collective that consists of myself, Raza Ojeda, and Lauren Santiago. Ironically, Lauren is the only non-Latin person in that group, but that's for another time, another day.
With the most Latin name, right?
I came across some of those people, honestly, during that 2020 time frame, and we were just all looking for the same kind of communities that we had from our former lives. We started to see it in the streets. That transitioned to us wanting to be more expressionate, wanting to be more storytellers, and we come across paths with people like our brother Ed Grullon. We see people on these two wheels painting canvases all across the city, and we like to uplift, amplify, and accelerate those stories in many different ways as we can. So I just like to do dope shit with my friends, basically.
That's it, dope shit with my friends.
Yeah.
Now, Tone, because I'm an avid bike rider, I incorporate it as part of my lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, everybody knows my story. I was a weed delivery guy for almost 20 years, and my main means of transportation was, a bicycle. We've seen each other crossing many times over the bridge into the city, just random like, yo, on the streets.
On the back and forth.
But how did you catch the fever? Well, when it came to the bicycle?
Yeah.
What was the first introduction where you were like, this is for me?
The thing is on your leg.
That's all right.
Motherfucker.
I would have just left
We
it
gotta
there.
keep that in.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was trying to get to my clients a little quicker in the city, in and out. So I was a trainer for about a little over 20 years in the city, primarily for companies like the Equinoxes, a couple of different pro sports teams, strength conditioning coach for different colleges out there. And relying on the subway when you got a client that's literally a billionaire that needs you to be there before they're there is not going to be something that's reliable. So I jumped to the bike, and initially, it was just to get from point A to point B a lot easier, but as I was riding around, I started to fall, differently in love with it. I honestly do say I wasn't committed to it until 2020. My gym closed down. All of the different social activities that I do with wellness was all not a possibility, but this was one of the things that they said it was okay, being outside and being able to exercise still. So I just took to that. And honestly, when I went outside, I saw how many other people were doing the same thing, and we just kind of kept it rolling from there. I think the other part that really reinvigorated that spark was getting hit in 2022 on my bike and having to use all my information from exercise physiology to rehab myself. So I had the thing that I was in love with taken from me, and I had to find a way to fall back in love with that. It's giving me a different level of appreciation, a different level of resonance.
I mean, it's like the old adage, you fall off your bike, you're supposed to get back on and keep trying again. Now, Tone, I'd consider you as one of the premier brand ambassadors in the cannabis space, simply because of your knowledge, your background in health and wellness, and how intrinsic cannabis is to the health and wellness of individuals that actually start learning how to use it for that purpose.
Right.
I think a lot of people use cannabis knowing instinctually that it's good for them, but not knowing necessarily why. I think a lot of people obviously use it for stress relief.
Yeah.
We all live in New York City. This is the rat race, and a lot of us naturally just want to smoke weed to take the edge off and relax. A lot of people suffer from insomnia, and then other people need it for recovery. Right? Because as we've always known for a long time, that cannabis has always been good for inflammation. And where did you make that connection to allow you then to break into the space? We're fortunate to have you here and work with us because of the relationship. But in terms of as a brand, I would look to you as I have to have this guy, because when you're on the floor talking to customers here about health and wellness, you are by far the most informed person that we have here at the store, and making that connection. I know my strains, I grew it, I sold it, but I'm still learning kind of the parts that you know that really help people understand it. When did that connect? When did that click for you?
Honestly, it started with that whole recovery process that I was talking about. So getting hit my first night coming home from the hospital, I clearly had a choice to make. They gave me every opioid that you could possibly think of in this bag. And I knew the history that my family had with messing with this specific line of drug, and how that turned out for everybody that was around me, that I did not want to follow that same path towards, right?
Right.
So I just get out of surgery. I have 5 broken bones in my foot. I had a torn ACL, a MCL, PCL. They call it the unhappy triad, right?
Yeah.
So my knee, this whole side is
Just
basically
ripped up your whole, ripped the whole thing.
right?
Yeah.
So in that, the pain level when the anesthesia wears off is beyond compare, right? It's a crush fracture, basically. So do I take this stuff that I know is going to put me on the path that I don't want to be on, or can I try something that's a little bit more holistic? And honestly, that was the first thing that I talked to the doctors about. It wasn't even an option. It's like, I'm not going to take this, so this is what my path forward is going to be. I'm going to use this plant as medicine. Yeah. I'm going to go in an alternative path because, again, I know long term, here's where I think my ability to wean off, or my ability to not form a habit around this is going to be a little bit easier, more under my control, right? So that's where it started. But then I just kept seeing everybody in this space saying words that I was very familiar with.
Right.
Since 2014, 2013, I've worked at the top end of the wellness side.
Right.
So I've bought the men's line to New York City for Lululemon. I've worked with Nike for the Fuel Band. I've worked with Equinox when they started all of their tiered systems. I've been talking to the wellness consumer at large for that same 20-year time span. During that time, I keep seeing how brands start, how they grow, how they exit, how they move into different spaces. And I see that same thing happening again on these shelves. Right? So if the shelf space has a wellness claim, I deserve to be there. And I don't just deserve to be there, I'm probably going to be qualified to talk to people about how they could find a way for that to be an aid in their life, and then open it up to even what could we do? How can we really close the gap on some of these health issues that people are experiencing? When you're around people that have disproportionate levels of stress for whatever the reason may be, I think they should have every single tool to their advantage be made accessible to them. And I see cannabis as a very useful tool.
And that key is the knowledge, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You can only show people where the water is. You can't force them.
Right.
But I think what you've done by example, and the language you use, how you talk to young, old, and everything in between on the floor. And I've also seen you work in trade rooms and trade shows to be able to see how you actually speak to it through your lens, which I think in this space being so new, I think a lot of people don't see what you see and how you see it, which is a very unique lens, again, through that health and wellness, and through the fact that you have a personal story of recovery, which is amazing, right?
So Tom, how do you break through the stigma of cannabis medicine with the Latino community? Because I know, as being Cuban American, my family are one of the biggest hypochondriacs in the world.
Yeah.
They sneeze, they cough, gotta go to the doctor, gotta take a pill, and not knowing that a lot of these prescription drugs are not good for you, right? Because Latinos assume that, oh, doctor, he knows better, he went to college, she went to school, I just have to listen to what they say. And now you're introducing this new medicine that, being Latino, we frowned upon it as much as we did crack or heroin. How do you break through that stigma and that perception within our own community to understand that this is actually a viable medicine?
It's work. It's an ongoing progress, to be honest with you. I think both sides of my family have had different levels of stigma. I think you coming out of that, product of the late 80s, everything else, everybody has seen what hard drugs did to the streets. And, the Say No to Drugs campaign is locked into some people's minds, right? And at the same point in time, I could tell you how many of those same people who would have shunned me in previous instances when I watch a TV commercial and I see that same list of products that they're taking from the other side of the pharmaceutical industry, it's like, hey, let's stay and watch this TV commercial to the end. Look at this list of side effects that you get. Yo, none of these are as bad as the thing that you showed up for. It was like, wait a minute, hold on. The side effects 10 times worse than the actual initial thing that you were treating for, right?
Yeah.
And this is what is allowed. This is what is legal. This is what's endorsed, right? So preventative medicine to me is really the goal that should help people get out of that cycle. It takes one part education, but it also takes some empathy to understand, I know they made this boogeyman into something that you believe in viscerally, but understand that there was a through line for somebody to make money off of you being scared about this in a realistic way. And today, there's somebody benefiting off the fact that you don't see the benefit in this industry in particular, right? So we could allow the gatekeepers to be gatekeepers, or we could allow their narratives to continue to infiltrate the minds of people who actually do need these. But I could also tell you that initially it's like, oh man, like what are you doing? You're using what? The drugs? What's happening? But now I start to see people in my family like, actually, I've been having some trouble sleeping. You mind if I get one of those gummies? And when you see yourself in the products that you want to have more exposure to, it's easier for you to integrate those into your life. So it's important to see people of different backgrounds on the shelf space. It's important to understand how that heritage translates to, this is a product that I want you to take, right? It's going to be a reflection of where you came from, and it's going to be a celebration of what it can actually help you with in life.
And what are some of the product categories where you've had success breaking that ice with?
For me, I think people that listen to me the easiest have no hesitation with anything that's pain management specific. So any of topicals, tinctures, balms, things in that nature have definitely been a success. I say the drinks. It's less stigmatized than combustion, right? So I can tell you that even though I do consume on every aspect of the spectrum, it's going to be hard for wellness-minded or people who are seeking an alleviation from some type of illness to see combustion as their primary thing that they need to do, right? I'm knocking it, but that's not the first place that they want to go. They want to have other delivery methods that's going to be a little bit easier for them, and I see that's where I have my easiest resonance too.
I think I've seen it in my family as well. Like knowing there's a THC component mixed with the CBD, using it for wellness, not just, to your point, combustion, and taking that stigma away from that, and actually looking at the actual plant and the healing remedies from it. And you've been a great advocate for that. And I think on the floor, when we see you talking to consumers and customers, you really speak to that really well. So Tone, a lot of people may not know you from this world, but 100% they know you from Off the Strength.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell the folks about the pod, tell them what started that. I know you and Kyle have been rocking that for a minute. And you've had some amazing guests. So tell the people a little bit about that media side of what you've been building.
Absolutely. Off the Strength is really the best examples that I got throughout life as to how to find my own health and wellness from some of the people that were really motivational all throughout my life and pulled them together, right? I've taken all the lessons, put them into quick, digestible listen, and try to give it out to everybody. So we exist to try to amplify and uplift people who actually motivate. It's honestly also the people that I've been around for the longest time. Like I've been in this city for my whole life and been in the industry for health and wellness as it was developing. I was like, I'm a first person in a lot of these different rooms. And with that, the experience comes, but it's also the relationships that you get to accrue over time. Yeah, we get to talk to some amazing people about really how they're going to uplift the community, how they're going to move people in different demographics, or how they just bring about change in the things that they want to see, from classes to in-person experiences, or just even having like a passionate kind of conversation. That's really where Off the Strength has been going. My brother Kyle and I have been the lasting anchors on that, but the Off the Strength show has gone through evolution just like everything else. I would say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say Alex wasn't a key factor, cornerstone in exploring my chapter in podcasting in 2013 with PNC Studios when we were doing the show Fitness on Smash, which way too early, but that evolved into what, honestly gives me the best growth hack that I have today. I could talk to people in any industry that I want that talks about health and wellness.
So then what we got going next is called the Special Delivery.
Special Delivery.
Tell the folks about what the ride's gonna look like. How did we come together? Because we've been talking about figuring out partnership, collaboration, how we do something together. This is gonna be the first of many, but let's talk about the first one, October 4th, Saturday.
So on October 4th, Peddlers Worldwide and Bodega NYC are going to also be collaborating with the Love Yours kid, Ed Brouillon, right? Now, this whole thing came into fruition because, honestly, we've been talking about riding bikes for how long together? And we're getting a chance to actually bring this to Park Slope in a way that I think is going to be fun and immersive. Right. When we put our heads together, these are the parties that people need to be at to understand what really the culture of this industry is going to be about. Yes, we come together and we're going to celebrate all the great products that are out there. They're fantastic. But those products go with a lifestyle. We are creating and cultivating the lifestyle that everybody out there is going to want to follow. It's not just because I'm saying it, but it's because I am in concert with some great and amazing people out here, like the Colognes, like the Normans, like the Santiagos, like the Grullons or the Ojeras, all of these different people from different disciplines of life come together and put in an art show with a ride from uptown, with a good mix of vibes coming from Bodega. Is going to be a time that you want to pull up for, you know? You're going to want to get a little product and sample, you know, some of the different people that we might be able to pull in on this side. You're going to want to come out and sample something that we carry on the shelves inside here, right? Like a Fernway or any kind of edible that might come along and, you know, enhance the experience that we're having at the same time. So when the good food, good vibes, good art, and just great people coming together, you're going to want to be there. Don't miss it.
And with that, my brother, the Renaissance man.
There we go.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
I made the show.
And with that, we out.
They put me on the wall.